Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Bible in 1 year with the preacher's husband. And today we're going through Genesis chapter 38, 39, and 40. And this is in the book of Genesis. And in these scriptures, we find Judah. He leaves, and he's kind of a dark picture of Jacob's sons who have all sold Joseph into slavery. He decides to break with the family tradition, and he decided to go and marry a Canaanite woman. That was against their family tradition. They did not want to do that, but they did. He did it anyway. And he had 3 sons with her: Er, Onan, and Shelah. So Judah decides he's going to find a wife for Er. So he does, and her name is Tamar. So Tamar, she's of a different ethnic background. And basically what happens is Er dies, has no kids. So Onan, the second son, is obligated by their tradition to marry her and to have babies with her. And when she has babies, those babies will be the heir to Er's inheritance, essentially. Well, Onan realized that there is nothing good about this for him, because if he marries her, has sex with her, she gets pregnant, has a baby, the baby gets everything. He didn't get anything out of the deal. So he's like, you know what? I'm going to marry her. I'm going to take her. I'm going to have sex with her, but I'm not going to get her pregnant. So he doesn't. He does not get her pregnant. And he does that on purpose. And God saw that he did this and thought that this was an evil thing that he did. So, boom, Onan's dead. So that means there is one son left. That is Shelah. And basically Judah says, you know what, Shelah's too young, Tamar. You need to go back home and live with your daddy. So he sends her back home to live with her daddy. And she does for a long time. But she knows that Judah is a little bit, I guess, immoral. And over time, she got tired of waiting. So instead of fussing at him about not letting her marry Shelah, because he thought that Shelah would die too if he married her. She might be cursed or something. So what she does is she takes off all of her widow clothes and she dresses up as a prostitute. And she goes to where she knows Judah's going to be hanging out. So Judah goes to where she is by the fountain. And of course there she is. And of course there he is. And he propositions her and says, hey, let's do this. And she said, oh, what are you going to give me for it? He said, how about a goat? She said, okay, but you have to give me something right now until you can bring me that goat. And he said, okay, I'll give you this signet ring. And he gave her a couple of other things as well. And she took it. They had sex. He left. She gets pregnant. He tries to pay her with the goat. And he sends Hira to go take this goat to her. And he can't find her. She's nowhere to be found. Well, 3 months later, come to find out, it's announced that Tamar is pregnant. And they think she has been unchaste. She's supposed to be chaste until she marries Shelah. But she hasn't been. So they were going to burn her. They were going to burn her at the stake because that was the punishment for that. Until she fessed up and said, no, the person whose signet ring that I have here, that's the person who I'm pregnant by. And she showed the signet ring, and of course it was Judah's. So Judah finally fessed up and said, yes, she was more right than me, and I wronged her, so she lived. And then she had twins, Perez and Zerah. But Zerah stuck his hand out first. One kid stuck his hand out, and they marked him as the firstborn because they tied a little scarlet string around his wrist. But then he sucks his wrist back in, so instead of coming out head first, he came out arm first. They tagged him as the firstborn, but then the other baby comes out, and then the one that stuck his arm out first but pulled it back came out second. So he ended up being the second-born son and not the first. And of course, Perez, the firstborn son, was later mentioned as an ancestor of both David and Jesus. Then we get into chapter 39, and this is Joseph in Potiphar's house. I'm telling you, some of this stuff just reads like a novel. It really does. Now, Joseph, he had been taken to Egypt, right? And he is an Egyptian named Potiphar was an officer of Pharaoh and a captain. Now, he brought him to his house because he saw how good that Joseph was at leadership. And when he gets him to his house, his wife falls in love with Joseph, right? She is constantly nagging him, wanting him to have sex with her. And he's like, nope, not going to do it, not going to do it. Well, she sets up this scenario where everybody's gone from the house except her and him, right? So she throws herself on him. But he is morally strong enough to resist her and says, nope, not going to happen. And he runs out. As he's running out, she grabs a hold of a cloak, of his garment, pulls it off, and this ends up being a piece of evidence that she uses against him. She tells everybody that he tried to rape her, and basically that they were going to have sex together. Basically, she screamed as loud as she could, and that he left because she screamed, is what she told everybody. So this made everybody in the house furious. This made Potiphar furious. This made Pharaoh furious. They threw Joseph in jail. So there he was in jail. But the Lord was with him no matter what. So here we are with Joseph in prison. Chapter 40, he's in prison, and the king's cupbearer and the baker offended their master as well in Egypt, and they got thrown into prison there too. And they were in there with Joseph. And while they were there, they realized that Joseph could read dreams. So Joseph read the cupbearer's dream, and the cupbearer tells Joseph what his dream was. And of course, Joseph reads it and says, that means in 3 days you're going to get let out, and you're going to be restored to your position, and you're going to live happily ever after, essentially. Of course, the baker hears this and was like, man, I want a piece of that. So he said, here's what I dreamed. And he tells him a dream that's very, very similar to the cupbearer's dream. And Joseph said, this dream means you're in 3 days, you're going to get out of here. But when you get out of here, they're going to hang you and they're going to kill you and you're going to die. And guess what happens? Everything that Joseph said happened. And when they came out, that's exactly what happened. The cupbearer was restored and the baker was killed. But the kicker was the chief cupbearer did not remember Joseph when he got out. He didn't tell him anything about Joseph being able to read those dreams yet. So there we find us. Tomorrow we're going to start chapter 40 and chapter 41 and chapter 42 in Genesis for tomorrow. And if I've left something out, I know I skimmed across this and summarized things. Something stuck out to you that was really important, that you think is just really important and we need to talk about it, post it down in the comments and let's talk about it. Be sure to click the like button, the subscribe button, and click that little jingle bell so you can get notified when I upload a video again. And I will see you again tomorrow for another episode of the Bible in 1 year with the Preacher's Husband.